Hey, what's good, yo? Welcome back to another video. So, Lovie Smith recently had a press conference today, talking about his visions for the defense and things of that nature, and just some takeaways from that press conference. When asked about what his vision was, he said the number one goal is to score, the second goal is to take the ball away, and we need to be good on third downs. We need a smart defense, fundamentally sound, and then he also adds on that I'm a product of Texas high school football and proud of it. And so, and also he goes on to say about Lonnie Johnson going to be staying at safety. He says he feels good about that. He also says that he has excellent size, and he also says that he also has a corner skill set too. But he likes how he fits into our defense. And then the last takeaway that I'll talk about is how he thinks that he won't have to adjust too much from his college defense in Illinois to the Texans, and how they weren't able to run their entire system there at Illinois, and their defense is more suited for the NFL game. So, what do y'all think about what Lovie Smith said in today's press conference?
So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I want to first talk about the thing about the no adjustments kind of thing. Lovie Smith is telling the truth when he says that he couldn't run it in college. His team, Illinois, didn't recruit well, didn't perform well. They didn't have the players to really run the Tampa 2 you saw with the Bears and the 2000s, stuff like that. But basically what Lovie Smith was saying is that he said that in college, most of the time there was 3 wide receivers, but they stayed in their base defense because they didn't have the talent, which is true. And Lovie Smith thinks that they can add those packages like the dime and the nickel, which is exciting because there's more coverage, more speed on the field, and that he can do that with more depth and competition in the NFL because he liked the players that we had. At corner, he mentioned Vernon Hargreaves, who isn't necessarily the best, but we'll see how he plays in the new scheme. He also mentioned Bradley Roby, Terrence Mitchell, and Desmond King, who he's also really excited about. He thinks that it's going to be really competitive and there's lots of skill among them. So he feels that in the NFL it can be a lot better, which is 100% true. It was kind of hard to run it in college. You kind of see that from how Illinois performed through the Lovie Smith era. It wasn't necessarily too good. But I think it should definitely be a little bit better in the NFL.
One thing I really liked is how he talked about needing to create turnovers and needing to score on the defensive side of the ball and just different stuff like that. But I mean, isn't that similar to what Weaver said last offseason? He said it was going to create like a lot of havoc, a lot of exotic blitzes or something like that. And we really didn't see it too much. And I mean, obviously turnovers are going to come at times, but I mean, I wouldn't really take too much of that. Like, I wouldn't get too hyped over that because, I mean, we saw it last year. We were, I guess, kind of promised it in a way, and it really didn't happen. And with Lovie Smith, he's saying it, and I mean, I hope it happens, but I don't know. And then another thing I liked is the thing he said about Lonnie, keeping Lonnie at safety. I agree with that 100% because, I mean, you don't want to move him back to corner again. To go from cornerback to safety and then back to cornerback, it's too much movement. And I think he's going to be a third-year player this year. It's too many positional changes just for 3 years. Just let him learn one position first, see what he has, and if not, then I mean, I guess moving back to corner, I don't know. But he has the size, he has the speed, he has everything that Lovie Smith talked about. So I hope he's gonna be able to be a good cover two safety, but we gotta see.
So yeah, like what you said about Lonnie, he has all of those things, but when he's describing all of those things, I can picture the perfect cover 2 cornerback that Lovie Smith can envision in Lonnie Johnson. I feel like that would unlock his true potential. Even though Lonnie said he doesn't want to go back and Lovie Smith say he's not going to be going back, it would, in my opinion, be a much better fit. And even with all the competition there, Lonnie would be able to kind of see where he fits. If he can't win the job at cornerback, then he simply goes to safety. I really don't see the negative of trying him out at corner. Even though he'd be moving back and forth, he's played corner for pretty much all his life. From all that we know at Kentucky, he was the man. He was the cornerback there. So he actually is more comfortable at corner because he played it there for longer, even though he feels as if he doesn't want to go back. I see the negatives and the positives, but I kind of lean towards the side where you would put Lonnie back at corner because that would make him a better player, in my opinion.
Yeah, Lonnie was kind of pretty solid, I guess, at safety. He did have some of his moments, his best game coming against the Patriots. But to be fair, Cam Newton was the quarterback behind the helm for the Patriots, so who knows if that really meant too much, obviously. But obviously, I think Lonnie Johnson will probably do way better this year than last year. Well, maybe not way better, but probably better because the system is more solid. It's more set. Whereas last year, there's so many things happening especially with the whole firing of Bill O'Brien and things like that. And so it was kind of like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to do this or that? So, but now I feel like if as long as he stays at safety, maybe that's probably the best for him. And since he likes being there, that's probably the most important, to be honest. And then going back to what you said about the parallels between Weaver and Lovie Smith, saying that they were going to create a lot of turnovers. To be fair, Weaver didn't have the best personnel last year, and now this year our personnel has improved pretty significantly, I would say, with some like 30 plus signings on the free agency, most of them being on the defensive side of the ball. So I feel like Lovie Smith has a better shot at kind of fulfilling that promise in a sense. And but also when we hired Lovie Smith, a lot of Illinois college fans were kind of happy he was gone, so that kind of worried me a little bit. But hopefully, Lovie Smith brings it back in the NFL.
Yeah, another little thing about Weaver is we were expecting him to be the guy that would send blitzes all the time. But when you really think about it, our linebackers on the edge were Brennan Scarlett and Whitney Merciless. They kind of didn't really play Jacob Martin as much in the beginning. Their DNs were poor except for J.J. Watt, so he really had not much to work with. Like you said, he couldn't necessarily do exactly what you want. But the difference is, like you kind of mentioned, Lovie Smith and Nick Caserio kind of worked together, and they kind of got the guys they wanted. They got Christian Kirksey. He was also excited about the new system. Yeah, they also talked to Jordan Jenkins today, which maybe we can go on a little bit more about that after this in a second. But Jordan Jenkins is excited. I heard Jonathan Grenard was excited about the possibility of putting his hand in the dirt. You got these linebackers. Lovie Smith said he was excited about Zach Cunningham. We already mentioned the corners he's excited about. So he has the people he wants, which is a big difference from last year with Weaver. So Lovie Smith can actually kind of make promises and say what he wants to do because he knows what each player can do and he knows what he wants each player to do.
Yeah, I feel like it's very beneficial to Lovie Smith that he has all these players that like really want to play, that are really excited, and the scheme fits and all of that. I'm not saying that the players really weren't excited last year, but like how you were saying, like we had Eric Murray, Whitney Merciless, Brendan Scarlett, all those players that really don't fit the scheme, and for one, they're just really not that good. But this year we have fairly better players, better scheme fits, more excited from what I've seen from today's interviews. But going back to what you said about the Weaver thing, he didn't really have the personnel. I mean, wasn't his big thing really I think it was the cornerback blitz. I forgot what team they ran that on with the guy that he followed, but wasn't it at the corner blitz or what was it?
So his disciple was actually Rex Ryan, and Rex Ryan was kind of known for blitzing like all the time, and Weaver never did that because pretty much the personnel and stuff like that, so he couldn't really do what he wanted, which isn't necessarily his fault at all. Right? Weaver is still a good coach. He's on to the Ravens now, and I think he'll do pretty good there. But yeah, like you said, he couldn't really do what he wanted to do, and I think it was kind of like the corner blitz, really just blitzes in general, but they couldn't really do that.
Yeah, and some more quotes from the press conference from Lovie Smith. He says, roster-wise, it's constant throughout. We're making progress. And when asked about replacing J.J. Watt, they said they had a chance to see how J.J. Watt prepared, and like the other players will learn from that, and change brings a lot of different things. And then he wants to ask, like, who's the next J.J. Watt coming up, and that's what he's excited about. And he's excited about a lot of the guys on the roster, of course. And Jordan Jenkins, let's talk about him. He's the newest addition to the roster, and he seems pretty excited to be here from what I've seen. So what do y'all think about this addition to the Texans?
Yeah, another guy who I think is a great scheme fit. He's been very productive as a pass rusher. He had a season where he had 8 sacks. And then, of course, last year he was injured. He said he's still recovering from his shoulder injury a little bit. He's also very excited to come here. He is from Texas and from the Houston area, so he said that he was really excited to be closer to his family and things like that. And he should be fun to watch on the Texans.
Yeah, I'm very excited for him. As Drew was saying, he's been hurt last year. I think he was hurt another time, if I recall. But yeah, last year he had the 8 sacks. And then most of those sacks were from good moves. I think only one of them were from I guess like an assisted sack, whatever you want to call it. But like most of the sacks, they were from pretty good power rushes, or like he beat the offensive lineman pretty good. So I mean, there's a lot of optimism for Janoris Jenkins there. I hope you can have like a 8 sack season here, which I mean, I wouldn't be, I guess, too surprised or too optimistic about it, but we can see.
Yeah, Jordan Jenkins, he also is coming off a torn labrum, but he says he's still that physical and aggressive guy and violent guy, a guy who can give it his all. And actually, in week 3, he like his shoulder dislocated and he popped it back in and he kept on going. So we definitely need guys who just truly love to play the game of football and will do anything to get back to on the field, kind of like Justin Reed, like in the past few seasons, like we've seen. But yeah, I'm kind of have a cautious optimism about this defense. I really hope it works. And so yeah, any final thoughts?
If you had to say one guy on this defense, going back to what Lovie Smith said about the next JJ Watt thing, I'm not obviously we don't have any more players that are gonna be like the next JJ Watt. JJ Watt's like a one of a kind, once in a lifetime player. But if you had to say one player that I think could, I guess, somewhat fill in his role, who would y'all say that player would be?
I'm gonna have to go with Jacob Martin. I think his talent kind of speaks for everything. He can play the run. He can hit you with the power move. He can blow by you with his speed. Even saw him drop back into coverage at times for some reason with Weaver last season, which made me pretty upset at times. But yeah, I think he has the potential to be the best pass rusher on the team. Maybe he gets his weight up to 260, play from the edge in that 4-3, gets 10 sacks, kind of leads the team on defense in that perspective, and can be that elite pass rusher that JJ Watt was. But obviously, not as good as JJ Watt. That dude is an absolute legend. But Jacob Martin would be the person to be the next.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. Jacob Martin's gonna be a very good player, but in my opinion, I think it's gonna be a Jonathan Bernard. He was very good coming out of Florida. What was he, a 3rd round pick? I think he was projected to go in the 2nd at one time, if I'm not mistaken. But he has everything. He has the speed. He has the power. He can beat you with the power move, beat you with the speed move, whatever it is. He can beat you with it. He played hands in the dirt a couple of times in Florida. So I mean, hopefully, he can come into this 4-3, 10-2, and probably perform how we did at Florida, similar.
Oh yeah, one thing to note about Jonathan is that he had an interview. It was either today or the other day. He did mention he was a little more excited about this defense to just put his hand in the dirt and kind of play ball. So he may be a better fit now. He may be more productive with more training and practice and a better scheme for him.
Yeah, personally, I think I'll choose another guy that I think will definitely prosper this next season is Charles Omenihu. I feel like he's going like way under the radar. Obviously, he doesn't play the edge or whatever, but he plays inside. But JJ Watt played inside too, multiple times, and I feel like Charles Omenihu kind of looked up to JJ Watt the most, from what I've seen, like either in Twitter posts or Instagram posts, and he's been improving a lot. I mean, there's a thing on social media where his box jump was like quite impressive. I don't know how the exact like numbers, but it was really, really good. So obviously, I think Charles Omenihu, I think we can expect to see him have like a big step in this defense, like in his development. And I'll be excited to see the whole front, the whole secondary, the linebackers, all the new additions ball out for the Houston Texans. And that's going to be it for the video. Let us know your thoughts on this defense. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.